Hey, Bunker brothers and sisters, welcome to episode 14 of From the Bunker. I am your host, Slim Reaper. I'm here with Arron, and he is a veteran who used to live in Michigan but has since moved to the West Coast, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, actually Wisconsin, and then now I'm out in Washington State.
Oh,
Yep, so
that's right,
West
yeah.
Coast.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, like why you joined the military, what kind of brought you here, your time, what you did, and then we can get into what you're into now.
Yeah, for sure. So joined in 2012. Pretty sure you and I actually went to basic training together.
Yeah, I think
That,
so, yeah.
yeah, that's where we met. Man, that's 12 years ago already. But why I joined, man, I came from a shitty upbringing, and it was either go to college, and just like everybody else, didn't really want to do that, or I guess join the military and find a path that way. I do come from a military background, dad, grandparents, uncles, cousins, all of them. So one, that was a path that I wanted to take because I knew about it, and then I ended up taking it. Um, Again, went to basic with you, 11 Bravo, did the airborne thing. Um, I just joined the guard, but a lot of my time was in the guard. I guess the most prominent thing that I did was deploy in 2019. I'm pretty sure you got there. You must have got there right after I left. I left December of 2019.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
were you there for that old Battle of Bath thing?
no, I wasn't there
Yeah,
for that. I was also up in Mazar-e Sharif.
okay.
You were in Kabul?
No, I was in Bagram.
You were in Bagram? Yeah, so again, the most prominent thing that I did was deploy 2019. I was there from January to December 2019. We were actually attached to 2nd SFAB, so Security Forces Assistance Brigade, which is out of Bragg. And we were basically the security force for the SFAB doing training the Afghans, so the ANP and the ANA, so Afghan National Police and the Afghan National Army. Uh, I acted as a squad leader on that deployment, so um, basically angel security, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has different terms for it, but we get attached to different SFAB teams, and we would go out to checkpoints and do training. We would do training. We do fly to advise, drive to advise. We'd meet with village elders, and then we also actually had we had SF on our base. There wasn't many of them. I think it was just a platoon of them, but we would be security or assistant security if anything happened with them. So we'd actually go fly out if any of their guys were hit, pull security until they got the guys on the Blackhawk, and then yeah, assisted with that. And then we also had some specialized guys that were medical on the civilian side that assisted them. Um, so did, I don't know, a lot of things over there, I guess, but I think Thursdays were our only day off, so every day we were pretty much outside the wire, which was nice and not nice at the same time. Kind of got burnt out after a while.
Yeah, those on and off patrol every day or every other day is, yeah, it gets old after after a month.
Yeah,
But
it gets pretty old, but it was pretty
primarily up,
cool.
up north then.
Yeah, we ran just out of the north. It was kind of cool. There's only three squads of us actually that were attached up there, so that's why we were up tempo so much. Um, but the cool part about it was, so TAC North was ran by the Germans, so Camp Marmal is where we were at, uh, and there was 24 other nations there, I believe, it being a NATO base. So on any downtime that we did have, or even our QRF, like it wasn't US. It was usually Germans or Croatians or Georgians or whoever, but did a lot of training with the Germans, German infantry, German snipers, and German SF up there, which was pretty cool. Uh, got a lot of really cool relationships out of that. Got some really cool uniforms out of that. I think I did 5 uniform swaps, so having a lot of European country uniforms with all the tags, badges, rank, and all that kind of stuff, and having that for life is kind of cool. So
Yeah, I saw one of my buddies, he has like a shadow box with like different uniforms from the different militaries. That has like up on a wall, like you'd have like a hockey jersey or something. I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
sweet. I would do that. I
yeah,
have like
it's pretty sweet.
I have a British coat around here somewhere. I think that's the only one I have.
That's badass. That's one of the coolest ones you can get though. Is it
Yeah,
like a
it's like I
long
said,
trench coat?
yeah, it's a really nice one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't even remember. I got it in Afghanistan. I don't know where I got it from, but
Don't
yeah. So
matter.
you did Afghanistan, and then you moved out to the West Coast, or it was a kind of while after that.
Yeah. So again, being reserve. Let me backtrack, I guess. So coinciding with my military career, I did do a little bit of college, and ended up entering the trades. So entering the trades meaning working in construction. I did an apprenticeship as a mason. Um, it was like a 4 year apprenticeship, but the way that Wisconsin works is every other Friday you actually attend school all day, so you get college credits from it. So you get 60 college credits while getting your apprenticeship working for a company. So I did that. I took some additional classes, finished my apprenticeship, and then the company that I worked for actually brought me into the office as an estimator out of the field. Excuse me. So I worked in estimating and construction for a very large company, and then after I got back from Afghanistan, I actually made a switch from estimating to project management. I expressed that I wanted to travel, and my first travel job was going from Wisconsin out here to Washington. I'm on the east part of Washington, southeast actually. So I'm by Idaho and Oregon. I'm like 40 minutes away from Oregon, but a lot of cool stuff to do out here. And I guess to that, I actually just got out of the guard because I had to transfer out here. I got out in November, and that was 12 years. So as of last month, I'm officially out.
Nice. How's that?
It's nice, man. I'm juggling a lot of things right now, a lot of positive things. Work wise, I can't complain. I'd say I'm pretty blessed, pretty fortunate with the opportunities that I do have. Me and my girlfriend have our own podcast, and then obviously I'm starting my business to kind of get back to the military community and first responder community. So juggling all those things, and we have a 2.5 month old as well. She has a 6 year old, I have a 5 year old, and we have a 2.5 month old right now. So
Yeah, congratulations. I saw it was pretty recent.
yeah, thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, when we're doing
So you
podcasts, we just have them sitting right here. So
so you started the podcast, but does that kind of coincide with this company that you're starting, or is it kind of like a separate thing?
I would say 50-50. Uh, so my girlfriend is in construction as well, but she started her photography business. I'm starting Alopecia Arsenal, which I'll get into exactly what that is. And then the podcast really just started for us to kind of get our faces out there and our brand out there behind our businesses, give insight to our relationship. I mean, when people are buying a product or are going to be buying my product, we ultimately wanted our personalities out there and want people to see us for who we are and I guess put a face behind everything that they're investing in ultimately. We just thought it'd be a good way to talk about where we're at, working a 9 to 5, raising kids, doing the podcast, trying to build businesses, and then so give insight into that, how we don't burn out, what our relationship is, the entrepreneurial side, business startup, and then kind of use it as like tracking our journey. And then we have some one-off episodes just about random things, I guess, life topics or perspective. But yeah, so I'd say 50-50.
Okay, but are you in the future? Are you kind of going to lean more on the podcast side for Alopecia Arsenal?
So we're gonna split the episodes. So we'll have our couples episodes, but then I'll do off episodes for like interviews and things like that. That not only will be with like the military community and first responder community, again, because that's what we will donate back to, but it'll also be geared towards what the business actually is. So um, that being like hair loss and things around all of that, and that's what the business is about. So
All right, well, tell us a little bit about that. I know all I know is kind of like what we talked about a little bit before, and what I got from your links that you sent me. But I mean, tell the people what you guys got going on.
yeah, for sure. So alopecia arsenal started because I was balding really, really bad before I left for deployment to Afghanistan. And that's already 5 years ago, but it was embarrassing, demoralizing. I don't want to talk about it. I had a receding hairline. I was thinning throughout my entire head, my crown. Um, yeah, it was just bad news. So I was ultimately shaving my head because, you know, no guy wants to talk about what it's like to bald. And then being in the military community, sometimes you get bashed on a little bit. But when I was on deployment on downtime, I ultimately did some research about hair transplants. Is it possible to get your hair back, regrow your hair in any way, shape, or form? Like you see it on the Simpsons episodes or whatever, you put a hair solution on, your hair grows back, right? Like, is there any truth behind it? So went to YouTube Academy and started looking into case studies, started looking into other people who have actually gotten their hair back without hair transplants, and basically I built a step-by-step program based off of other companies, what some people did, and some holistic remedies and things like that. And as soon as I got back from Afghanistan, I implemented them. Uh, and I'd say after 12 or 14 weeks, I noticed that my hair was starting to come back. I was like, holy shit, well, this is a real thing. And then still being in the reserve, showing up to drill, you only see people once a month, and they're like, how the fuck is your hair coming back, dude? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then guys who were balding within the unit started walking up to me and asking, hey man, like, how'd you get your hair back? This, and this. I laid it out step by step, X, Y, and Z, gave them a breakdown, testimonial. Um, Guys started implementing it and started getting their hair back. I mean, guys that were like damn near completely bald pretty much have their hair back, other than the hairline itself, which is the hardest. But I mean, I can show my hair now and I can give you a before picture, but I completely have my hair back. I still do the routine to this day. But having people walk up to me and then word of mouth, I had people messaging me all the time, asking about it. Hey, how'd you do it? And I was like, dude, why not just fucking make a business out of this? So that's kind of the path I started going down in 2021. Around that time, by that time in 2021, again, we got back from Afghanistan in December of 2019. I had 7 close friends commit suicide, and they were all within the military community. And some of those were my guys in a lot of ways, so that sucked. And I also took Alo Arsenal as a way to possibly give back. So when I was building my business plan and kind of going towards the launch phase where I'm at right now, a couple months out from the launch phase, I wanted to build in a portion of every sale to go back to first responder charities and then also military veteran charities to help with suicide awareness, anxiety, depression, PTSD, and then also help families that have either lost someone to suicide or have someone battling suicide. So basically help funding their counseling or funeral costs and things like that to help families out. So that's kind of the why behind it, and kind of how it is to where it is right now. But yeah, I mean, didn't really plan on going down this path, but here I am.
So is this kind of like it's like a program that people would like purchase like a training plan for like working out or something. So it's kind of like along the same lines. It's not like it's a product that you just put on your face every day or whatever.
Yeah, so there's tiered subscription packages. So if you see hymns and keeps, so I'll have everything that they provide, and then there's additional things that our business will have. So uh, there's finasteride, which is a 1 milligram pill that you actually go onto our website, make a login, and you meet with a medical professional. You submit photos of your head, show that you're balding or thinning or you have a receding hairline, and then you actually have a medical professional advise what medication you should take, and that would be the finasteride. So I can get into the science behind it, but that's one piece of it. And then there's minoxidil, which is a topical solution, and then those are the 2 main components to get your hair back. And then 3 that other people don't do, especially men, is derma rolling. So basically, it looks like a razor handle with a roller head on it, and it's got needles, 1.5 millimeter needles, and once a week you roll your head in every direction where you're thinning. And believe it or not, it helps get your hair back. And there's science behind it, but men wouldn't know about it because it actually started with females. women started derma rolling their face for scar tissue, wrinkles, and things like that. And what it is it's collagen induction therapy. So if you do it in your head, it actually restarts the hair growth cycle. So all of those things combined, you buy it as a subscription or you can buy them individual off our website and it'll be shipped to your door every single month or every 3 months or whatever you opt to do. And then there's complementary components to that. Um, Shampoos, conditioners, other topical solutions that are more organic for you. Um, those are on top of the three things that I just listed. There's
So
also beard
you
growth kits and things like that, but yeah.
yeah, you were saying it took you 12 to 14 weeks to have like a noticeable distance. People were coming up to you and saying like, "Oh, hey, like it's, how'd you do it? How'd you do it?" Is that kind of like what you typically can expect from something like this, or I know it's probably not the same for everybody.
Yeah, everybody's different. I would say the sweet spot is typically 12 weeks. I'd say within 12 to 20 weeks. So it's a little discouraging when you're doing this and doing this and doing this and you don't necessarily see results right away, but it will pay off. And the other thing is minoxidil, that topical solution that I was talking about. One of the side effects is actually shedding. So when you start using it, I would say 4 weeks into using it, up to that 12-week mark, your hair actually falls out at a more rapid pace and you thin more. And the reason for that is what minoxidil actually does is it restarts and prolongs the hair growth cycle. So when that new follicle is coming in, it's pushing out the old shitty dead hair at a faster pace. So it looks like you're balding more, but it actually means that your hair is actually growing and healthier and thicker. So a lot of people, if they don't know that, when they see their hair falling out more, like, dude, this shit's reversing. Like, it ain't working, but it's actually working.
Yeah, you should put that in big letters on the bottle.
Yeah, don't worry, it's on the packaging.
All right, so I know we were kind of this is like your release phase. So what kind of timeline are we talking about here?
Targeting April 1st. April 1st. And the reason for that is implementing some of the back end telemedicine stuff that I was just speaking about. So with
Hmm.
the providers and stuff, and then I'll be fully transparent, man. Like I don't come from wealth or anything like that to where somebody can just hand over a lump sum of money and I can go get everything that I need. Uh, Starting up this business and launching this business is costing $300,000 to $350,000. So
Hmm.
having to go out and secure a small business loan is one thing, but even then they want you to provide 25 to 30% of your business startup. So 25 to 30% of that 300 to $350,000 has to be out of pocket. So lining up investors and things like that, uh, it's a tall task, but we have some angel investors that we're in negotiations with, so that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, we know all about that. We're doing the same thing on our end, man.
Yeah, dude, it's a hassle. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't realize.
So is it just you and your girlfriend running this thing, or do you have other people that also work with you?
So it was just me up until a few months ago, and then I have a buddy actually back in Wisconsin that's helping me with it. And then my girlfriend is doing her own thing with her photography business. So we keep our stuff very separate, other than the content that we create together.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Well, what's the future look like? Let's say this thing takes off, blows up. Are you gonna come up with like a product line, put it in stores?
Yeah, I actually, yeah, 100%. That's the goal. I guess business model wise and scaling it and everything like that. Uh, it would be available. It's going to be available. You can buy it on Amazon, do your subscription through Amazon. Obviously, our website is a whole nother thing. And then as it grows, if we can maintain the backstock of it, we would be looking to get into small businesses and salons to start, and then ultimately go retail or box store to compete with other brands.
Yeah, yeah, very nice. So are you keeping in touch with the army buddies? You got them working on you. You gonna start hiring those dudes then?
Actually, yeah, some guys from my old unit, keeping in touch with those guys, yeah, and some of those guys want to implement this routine. as well. So um, there's a couple guys when they get back. I'm hoping I can bring them on if we scale it out fast enough.
Someone's gonna pack boxes, baby. It's not gonna be
That's
us.
that's exactly right, man. Fuck,
Mm-mm.
I got a
I,
toddler to take care of. Yeah,
yeah,
diapers have changed, dude.
I do the social media and the podcast and all that, and one of the other guys does the packaging. I don't do the packaging.
Dude, have you guys looked into 3PL,
No,
third
I don't
party
know what that is.
logistics? So
Oh,
third party,
we like to use like all Michigan small businesses for all our stuff. So we outsource like what we can when it comes to like products and shipping and stuff like that. But most of it is like a small Michigan thing, not so much like a big company that does our stuff for us.
yeah,
Like
which
all our products
make
are made in Grand Rapids.
oh that's awesome. Locally sourced, that's
Yeah,
cool.
we want to like kind of keep it as small scale as we can because like everybody who buys our stuff is small business oriented anyway. We're not getting huge orders from like grunts that have like
Yeah,
any type of distributor. So
yeah,
until that happens, like we're just here.
yeah. No, I gotcha, and I completely understand. I guess we've looked into outsourcing the shipping and logistics just because I'm still a traveling project manager. Um, and then when an order comes in, just having the ease of mind knowing that once an order comes in, it's going to be packed and shipped, and if there's any discrepancies with it, that the warehousing provider that's shipping it will take care of the customer service aspect of that. It kind of sucks that I'll be a little bit out of touch and adding that personal touch to customer satisfaction, but the way my life is going right now, until it thrives enough to where I can step out of my regular 9 to 5, like I can't really do that.
Yeah, no, yeah, we know how I feel.
Yeah,
Every one of us is still working. We just do this on the side.
yeah, man, just eat up your free time. But it's cool that you guys started this. I will say that it's cool that you guys are putting out podcasts and product, and I obviously keep up with your social media. So I think it's awesome what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it slowed down a little bit just because life, like you were saying, life's just busy, so it's gotten kind of like a second nature instead of like a daily task, and it's kind of hard to maintain. And there's only three of us, and like
Yep,
I'm the only one that doesn't have like a family and kids and stuff like that. So
that
I'm
gets
like the
dumped
only
on
one.
you more.
Yeah, like no one's really done the podcast. Like we haven't done a podcast like a month and a half, something like
Mm,
that.
damn.
So
Yep,
yeah, it's just been busy, man. Like and
yep.
coming up with like funny stuff to put online all the time is just a nightmare. Cause
It is.
you like you like put it online, you're like, oh, I hope everyone likes this, and then you just get shit on. You're like, oh, guess that wasn't the one.
Dude, content creation is difficult, whether it be in the military community or outside of it. We do all of our own shorts and all of our editing of our own podcast and push everything out. I don't know if I'm able to even, you care if I say what the podcast is?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so it's Living Limitless Podcast. You can find it on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It's at Living Limitless Pod. Um, but getting into podcasting and even like buying the equipment and like I'm sitting in our garage that we set up as a podcast studio and soundproofing it or having to soundproof it because we didn't realize how much it was going to echo, buying the mics and buying all the equipment and the cameras and all that shit, man. People don't realize what actually goes into setting up a podcast.
Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I just hook everything out to my computer. I'm in my basement. Like, I did not. I didn't soundproof shit. That's why
That's
you need a
totally
headset,
fine.
dude.
Yeah, I know. I know, dude. I do need a headset. I feel like I've fucking everything except I got 4 mics sitting around. I have 3 cameras and again, soundproofed everything, but I don't have a goddamn headset to be on somebody else's podcast.
I wish we had like. I think eventually, if we start to take off a little bit more, like we got some stuff in the works, and if it does take off, we're probably looking at getting like a legitimate space to do stuff like this in. And it
Yeah.
could be like I'm not always working out of my basement or like somewhere in my house that's just my office for
Yeah.
the day or whatever. But like it'd
Yeah.
be kind of nice to like have have like a home base that's like, not where my dogs are like fighting above me or like I'm hearing like things getting dragged across the ground. I'm like, I hope that's not the couch.
No shit. Yeah, dude. I totally get that. I guess that's the nice part about it being out in the garage, but at the same time I could hear some of the little ones running around. But yeah. Or who knows, they'll probably open the door, hop on the podcast with me. But yeah, I totally get it. I guess going back to that, not only just setting up the podcast, but learning all the editing and clipping and putting podcasts together, clipping stuff out, actually getting the content out there. And then on top of that, I'm assuming that well, I actually know that you guys do reels, but putting reels together and posting those on different social media platforms and things like that. We post all of our reels to TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So it may not sound like a
Yeah,
lot, man, but
it is, and it's a learning curve too. Like it's hard to like get it going correctly, and you kind of got to like plug and play and see what works, what doesn't work. Like we probably have 2 or 3 podcasts that are like an hour to 2 hours long that we haven't released just because we fucked them up and like the audio's not right or like the video's fucked up, so we just like never released them. So I just have like
yep,
these useless videos like sitting on my computer.
yeah, yeah, dude. We just did a podcast about the Luigi Mangione stuff. Uh, Thought it was perfect, like all the content, actually talking about it from like a military perspective and how that all kind of went down and giving some opinions on that, if you will. Put everything together. My audio is completely shot. All you can hear is
Yep.
like it muffled off the wall. It's like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. And it was
Yeah, you
like,
just like, oh, yeah, wasted all that time.
yep, I wasted all that time, 2 hours of content just right down the drain. Like, God damn. And the worst part is our little one was having a rough day. So we shot that at like 12:30 at night until 2:30 in the morning. Just,
Oof.
yeah, down the drain.
And that was the one that you had your buddy on.
Yeah, yeah, Alex, yep. We're gonna do
Is
some
he
more
military
like
too?
that. No, everybody always asks him if he is. It's funny when we got out into Washington, he was living with me, and we'd like go out to the bar or whatever, and people would always walk up to us, and they'd walk up to him first and be like, "You're military, aren't you?" He's like, "Nah, man. Like, nope, that's not it." There's four times in 3 months that people walked up to him asking if he was military. He looks like it, but
People
no.
like stop. Everyone looks kind of the same now. Like everyone used to say that shit to me when I had like a high and tight, but now like my haircut is like longer and everyone kind of
Yep.
has the same haircut. Like if you're a guy between like 18 and probably not that because they started doing that weird broccoli hairstyle thing, but
Yeah.
probably between like 20 and 35, like everyone has the same haircut. So like no one really says
Yeah.
it anymore. If I remember like out of basic, everyone's like, "You just got a basic, didn't you?" I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, I did.
fucking bald. I have a shitty hind tie. Thanks.
Yeah, you got the baby face going. And then if you're
Yeah,
like
dude.
every other military dude, you at least have to get one sleeve, right? So they pick
Yeah,
you out
yeah.
immediately.
Wearing my like fucking like Bellevue boots, and my jeans.
Yeah, yeah, I know you're kind. That's just funny, but it is true.
It's so true.
Uh,
You see it. You still see it all the time. You're like, oh, that dude's got a like really shitty high and tight. He's wearing boots in his jeans. That dude just got a basic.
yep. I was gonna ask when you were overseas in Afghanistan, did you work with the ANP or ANA at all?
Yeah, elements of the ANA. Yeah, it was like this. Their special forces though. It wasn't like the regular guys, and they were pretty. It's probably the
So like,
same kind of like pretty reined in. Like they weren't allowed to have weapons outside of like on mission. Like
yeah,
and they were attached to like a ranger platoon. So like that platoon was responsible for like giving them their weapons while outside the wire. And then we didn't have any blue on green or anything like that. Like we didn't have any issues. And I think they were
yeah,
like like they're not higher tier, but it's not like
no,
dealing with the it's not like dealing with the ANP. Yeah, it's not the
oh yeah.
same.
So they were commandos then.
Yeah.
That's what we refer to the special forces as.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
like commando patches, and you see them running around with like ranger tabs and shit. Like, I don't think you went to ranger school, man. I don't
Oh
think you went.
no.
I don't think you went to radio school. Don't think you've ever been to the States, let alone Fort Benning, Georgia. Did not happen.
Yep. No, definitely didn't happen. Definitely didn't
Yeah, I
happen.
was I was wondering what happened to those dudes. They're always like Rangers would go out like super late at night, and like we were on the secret side, on the west side of Disney, Camp Alpha, and like the surrounding areas were like not technically part of Bagram,
Yeah.
and like but everyone like ran missions out of there, so they'd like hop in their trucks, drive to the airfield, and we'd run missions off the airfield. So like you'd see the Rangers come and going every night, but they always come back and like all the Rangers would be like, "Yay, that was fun!" Da da da, and then they'd have like five less Afghan commandos than they did like every time. Like I'm like, what is your fatality rate with these commandos, dude? Like, and why is it always those dudes?
It's
I'm not
always
saying
those
I'd
dudes.
rather it be. I'm not saying I'd rather be the bad dude, but it's always the commando guys. Like every time, it's kind of odd to me. I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm
well,
pretty sure the Rangers are just sacrificing A&A dudes and they leave the wire
I was
now.
gonna say, dude, they're making them clear and breach first, for
Yeah,
sure.
like man, your guys numbers aren't looking so hot. It's only been 3 months.
Well, I'm not gonna lie either. When we were up there and we had to do some route clearance, if we couldn't get anybody out there fast enough, you would literally have ANA out there swinging pickaxes in the dirt.
hmm
Like that's like IED clearing. It's like, what in the absolute fuck are you doing?
Digging with their hands. I've seen them like dig with their hands. I'm like, dude, you're fucking insane. Like you're gonna catch a
Yeah,
wire and I'm gonna stand way over here.
yeah, way over here. Shit's
We
wild.
had a couple things in Syria. We were on this patrol, and SDF, those Syrian Democratic Forces, which are like they're not typically a partner force, but we live on their bases and shit. And
Yeah,
those dudes were cucks, man. I hated those guys. It
I
was not like
bet.
Afghanistan. Oh, dude, it was not like Afghanistan where we showed up. We're like, we're in charge of all of you, and that's just
Yeah,
how it is. Like we
yeah.
like feigned that they were in charge, and it's like their land, it's their fight. We're just there to defeat ISIS. Like it was always a show. Like the whole thing was like their general would show up and be like, "Oh, hey, sir, how's it going?" Sir would be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Like it's not even you're not even a real rank. You're not even a real person. You've never been in charge of anybody in your entire life. You're like, they just found this guy on the street and they like, you want to be a general today? And then he'd do shitty for like a week and then they'd fire him and he'd end up back on the street and you have a new one like the next week. So it
Yeah,
was just
that's
like, dude, the
insane.
whole thing was a sham. It was a fucking sham. And like, it was, I don't know if you watched our one of our episodes with one of our PLs who was over there. He like traveled the world after he got back, and he like drove from Arizona to Chile or somewhere in South America on a fucking motorcycle. And he had a couple
Dog.
run-ins with the police. He had a couple run-ins with the police, and he's like, I assumed that the police were like the same as like the SDF, like they were like
Yeah.
not organized, not real elements. They just kind of some guys got a truck and some matching uniforms, and those dudes are just like the military, the police for the day. And so he got pulled over, and the guys are like, yeah, dude, like, you need a certain license to be driving this vehicle and you don't have it. He's like, oh, okay. They're like, we're going to confiscate your license. He's like, okay. So you gave him a fake license. And he got
Yeah.
pulled over like 15 minutes later and they're like, oh, where's your license? He's like, oh, it already got confiscated. And they're like, oh, by who? And he's like, oh, well, some guys down the road. And the guy's like, "Oh, okay, we'll call him." He called him. They sure should. The guy that pulled him over answered the fucking phone. And he's like, "Hey, did you confiscate this guy's license?" He's like, "Yeah, but it was fake." So they took his like tried to take his real license. And I was like, I would have assumed the same thing that like it was all made up and like the rules don't matter. There's no points, but those dudes ended up being legit. But that's what it felt like over there, man. I was like, I didn't know who was actually like a military element and who was just some dude that was like dressed in camo and had an AK. I was like,
That's fucking hilarious and
and they would
terrifying at the
like,
same time.
yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, there were mines here yesterday, but we moved them all." I was like, how do you know? Like what qualified individual came out here and made sure all the mines were gone? He's like, oh, our disposal teams. I was like, that's just a teenager with a shovel. Like, you don't know.
Yeah, you have no fucking idea.
Yeah. And they kept moving the mines around. I was like, guys, stop moving the fucking minefields around. No one knows where the minefields
Oh my God, fucking terrifying. I've
are. Oh, it
heard
was
stories.
lawless.
Go ahead.
You got the fucking Russians watching you all the time. You're like sitting there. You got the Russians, the Iranians, the Assad regime. I guess they're gone now. So now you got the HTS, and everyone just like I was like, oh, where the Americans put the minefield today. Wonder where the Minefields at tomorrow.
Damn. Hell no. So we had some conspiracies going on up where we were, actually.
In
I don't know if
Mez?
you, yeah, I don't know if you want me to, I don't know if I
Yeah,
should
send it.
even.
I had a couple buddies in Mez because we were spread out. I was working for a private company. We're spread out all over the country. But
Yeah,
I think there was a blue on green up there. Uh, that was like all I heard about. And then there was a couple problems they had with some weird group that like wasn't Taliban that was like messing around
Northern
with.
Forces.
Could have been.
They call themselves the Northern Forces. So the Northern Forces are a band of they're not ISIS, not Taliban. They're actually like local villagers and stuff like that. I forget who the guy's name was, but this started back like fuck, in the 80s, maybe 90s. Uh, and basically they built their own regime to oppose ISIS and Taliban. And dude, they were ruthless, like ruthless. Like they would go and find out where the Taliban were, and they would surround them, round them up, put them in semi trucks, and basically run them for days, packed like sardines in the back of semi trucks. And then they would crack the door open for anybody that was still alive, and they would just light it up with a 50 cal. Like the Northern Forces are ruthless. You should look them up sometime.
I don't know why they just
Ruth-
kill them. It seems like such a waste of time.
because they do the same thing. I mean, if you think about like pistols and executions and everything behind that, like where we
Yeah, you're
were,
right.
like the villagers were more afraid of our pistol than they were of our M4 or whatever we were carrying because that's what they get executed with.
Yeah,
But it was
civil
basically
like
to
Middle East
yeah,
though.
yeah, they,
Saddam, like
yeah, hell yeah, dude, they're ruthless people. But again, Afghanistan is a third world country and it's all about survival. It's not about what people here in the United States think about. Like we have the convenience.
yeah,
You can go 10 minutes down the road, go into Walmart, get anything that you need. Over there, you go 10 minutes down the road, you can't even find fucking water in some cases, right? Like it's
yeah,
basically a
you'll
bunch of
probably get blown
farmers.
up depending where you are. Pretty likely,
Yeah.
pretty likely you get blown up.
hmm These
Hit me with
people.
the conspiracy theory. Hit me up. I want to hear it.
All right, man. So, like I said, we were operating.
If it's shitty, if it's shitty, I'll cut it out. It doesn't even
All
matter.
right, perfect. All right, so we were obviously operating in TAC North, and I can verify that we had MI working with us a lot because we had a lot of insider threats. A lot of people we actually had MI tapping like the ANA that we were working with, like tapping their phones and things like that because as soon as we would do a meeting or a training session with them, they were basically calling the Taliban and letting them know like, hey, this is what we're up to, this is what we're training on, and they were actually giving how many personnel we were showing up with. That for sure was being tracked because there was a lot of threats that were happening to where we weren't even able to go out because MI's like, hey man, like no, it's not happening today. Anyway, with that, so Tajikistan and Uzbekistan and all the northern countries, Marmal isn't that far from them, right? Supposedly, again, this is coming from an MI individual. When we were there, they had tabs on Russian platoons that were just outside of or just over the Afghanistan border. And they were keeping tabs on us training the ANA and ANP, specifically the ANA. And where this line comes in is think about the millions and millions, if not billions of dollars, excuse me, that the United States spent to send us and SFAB over to Afghanistan to train the ANA, pay for their weapons, pay for their salaries, give them all the equipment, all the arms, and then on top of that, the time for us to train them. Think about all the money that goes into that, right? From the Russian side, they were like, well, fuck you to the United States. We're not going to engage you directly, but they got tabs on when we were pushing the ANA out for night ops because we wouldn't accompany them on night ops. And Russian platoons were coming over the border and smacking our ANA that we were training. We could send out 120 guys in a night, and there was times that they only came back with like 70. And we're like, and they were saying that it was the elite Taliban that they were engaging. And according to MI, it was actually the Russians because they just wanted to waste the money that the U.S. was spending to train the ANA up there. Again, they're not going to target us directly, but
Definitely not the weirdest or least believable conspiracy. Like I saw between the last 3 deployments, dude, I've seen some sketchy shit. Like I've seen some sketchy things happen, and I was
dude,
like
for sure.
taking money to the Taliban. I was like, aren't we fighting these people? Like, why are we
Dude,
bringing money to them? This is
supposedly
fucking
the Germans
insane.
were paying them
We
because
were
we were on the
paying.
German base. Like the Germans would go out on convoys or go on two patrols. Germans would never fucking get hit. As soon as the U.S. went out, get smacked. Why? Supposedly there was
We were.
officials coming in from Germany with suitcases of money and paying off the Taliban.
We did. I did that. I literally took. We took money from Bagram Airfield to Kandahar, and then it got distributed out to the Taliban to not attack U.S. troops. That's
There you
literally what we
go.
were doing.
There you
And then we
go.
got attacked in December, and they hit us with like a V bid, and everyone was like, "It's ISIS," and everyone's like, "That doesn't seem. That doesn't seem right. Like, why would ISIS? ISIS is currently fighting the Taliban. Why the fuck would they draw attention by attacking the biggest base in the Middle East
Yep.
run by the Americans and literally every coalition force? Like, why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense. So, like, for probably the next year, every news source, every like article, everything I saw about it, like even the videos were like, oh yeah, it was ISIS-K, it was ISIS out of Kabul. It's like the new faction of ISIS taking over Afghanistan. Look at it today. They all say it was the Taliban. Every single source. I was like, that is not what you motherfuckers said, 6 years ago.
See
I
that,
know because I read all your fucking articles because I was there. And I
dude.
was
This
like, who attacked us? And everyone was like, it's weird. I said it was the Taliban. Which is also bringing them money. Sounds like someone just didn't want to acknowledge that the Taliban didn't give a fuck about our money or peace talks.
Yeah, and you'll never, ever, ever, ever see that on the news. And that's why people always ask me my opinions on the news. I'm like, say what, man? I don't listen to any news source. Ever, ever,
No,
ever.
they just bullshit. The only people I listen to is like fucking Northern Provisions because they're just like, hey, here's all the violence that happened. Like,
Yeah,
you will.
at least you know that's true, right?
Yeah,
Shit.
they don't have like a side. They just like, hey, here's all this stuff that might affect you or whoever.
Yeah, there's no agenda.
Yeah, like it or don't. They'll come after us.
Yeah, dude. Wild.
You follow them, right? I love their shit. They posted a wild video today of to my knowledge, it is the only hand-to-hand combat helmet cam footage recovered so far.
I saw that about you, the Ukrainian Russian soldier.
Yeah, it
Just
is fucking
wild,
wild.
dude. If that doesn't like give you goosebumps on like what war actually like entails, just on the ground, like fist to fist, fucking stabbing the shit out of each other. Best man wins. And the wild part is
Yeah,
the dude is on the ground. He's like the dude who basically killed him or left him there to die, right? Is like there to stay with him while he dies because there's a different type of mental that goes into that. And the dude on the ground that knows he's gonna die is like, nah, man, like I want my peace. Like get the fuck away from me. Like just let me die in
yeah.
peace.
So the Russian won. The Ukrainian was the one that died. Yeah, the Russian got fucked up though. Like he was, like his
Dude's
face, like
face
you see
is
it, his face. He got stabbed in probably the face, the neck, at least the shoulder, a couple times in the chest. Like yeah, he was sitting there. The Ukrainian's like, hey man, you won. I'm done. Like
yeah,
you just let me die. And
yeah.
the Russian just left. I was like, what the fuck?
Fucking dude, that is wild.
I know. And it's like thinking about how they got there, because like I think it's crazy. Like we talk about Lisco and like large scale combat operations and like the new war and like detached small elements, like fighting other detached small elements, but you never think about like one dude fighting one other dude. Like how did
Nah,
they get in that situation?
no
Like how did
shit. Like, why
one
are you not, where's your
Ukrainian
battle?
end up?
Where's your buddy?
Yeah, where's everybody? Yeah, where's everybody else? Where's the rest of the element? How did you two end up being the only two people left?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy, man.
And the way you're fighting
And
and screaming, somebody has to be at least in earshot to come and figure out, like, or see what the fuck is happening. No one comes. Nothing.
might have been alive. Might have been dead or like spread out or like off assaulting it. Like most people were dead.
Yeah.
Happened to scary. Like
Very
I'm
fucking
I'm
scary.
getting stabbed up on the ground and like nobody's thinking about
Nope.
it. I'd
No one.
be happy.
Yeah, not a goddamn soul. Uh, the other part of that, so the Ukrainian on the ground, you can hear his radio
Yeah,
during it. Like he doesn't even like call to anyone, which is mind blowing to me. Even if you're laying there like,
yeah,
dude, I'm fucking dying. Like I'm anything. Give it a location.
yeah.
Like just does like would that not cross your mind? That would cross my mind.
No, I thought about it because I heard the radio going off, and I was like, so somebody is clearly within some type of range that you have communication. It's not like that's a JTAC able to talk to like jets and shit. Like,
Yeah,
probably not. It's probably like a fucking shortwave radio that you can talk to like a click tops. Like on a good day.
yeah,
But
yeah,
with all the jamming going on, and the crazy part is like when the Ukrainian was just like, yeah, you're a better fighter than me. You're the best
yep,
fighter in the world when it comes to me. And then just like, it's like he takes his helmet off. I was like, holy fuck.
yeah, dude. Just know it's it. Imagine being the
Yeah, it was
guy who
nuts.
walks up to that body and gets that body cam footage.
Yeah, I wonder if the Russian took it or if the Ukrainians
That's a great question.
came and got it. Because you just see the Russian like go off camera, but you don't know if he actually left or like he does anything. Like you never really see it. But
Yeah, fucking wild, man. Fucking
I
wild.
think we're gonna see more and more of it. You know,
I think so too.
as like shit gets started, like people are starting to run out of ammo. Elements are starting to get super isolated. I think it's gonna become more and more of a common place. And
I want to know what the actual casualty numbers are on each side, because
yeah, we're not gonna
both
know
are,
for years, dude.
yeah, because both are inflated, whatever they're releasing, or not inflated, or if the Ukraine is releasing about Russia, they're obviously going to inflate it, and vice versa. And then if Ukraine is releasing on themselves or Russia's releasing on themselves, they're going to say it's way lower than what it actually is. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
we're
can't
not
wait
gonna
to.
know for a decade
Nah, it's got to be staggering numbers.
now. Like, gotta be because Russia's running out of men. It is running out of people to fight wars. They
Yep.
are all over the fucking globe fighting everybody.
Yep.
Like fucking Wagner, the Russian military, they're all over the world fighting everybody right now.
Dude, they're
But what
like
people don't
the
know, like Russia's running Africa with the Wagner group, like fighting little emergencies or fighting like little government agencies,
dude.
getting ambushed by ISIS. They're getting shit on in Africa.
They are, I'm not too privy to what's going on in Africa, but it makes sense to me, and I'm not surprised. They're like the pissed off little brother right now. I don't get it. Like, what's their agenda?
Well, Ukraine actually has been sending troops to Africa to ambush like Russian convoys, which that's I didn't know until like relatively it's probably 2 or 3 months ago that the video came out where the Ukrainian anti-tank team took out like a Russian column of BMPs or BMDs or something along the line, and then a couple like fuel trucks and shit, and they like wiped out this convoy, and I was like, this looks deserty, and turns out it was like it was Africa. I was like, what the
What the
fuck?
fuck, dude?
Fight where they
But
are, I guess. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, when do you think this war is actually going to end?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know. Daddy Trump says fucking January, I guess. That's what he says.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bullshit, dude.
He said, I like this. He had a tweet. It was like, oh, it was just funny reading it. It made me think of like a mom telling the kids to knock it off. He's like, it's basically like, y'all better sort this shit out before I get into office. Made me laugh.
It's true. I mean, last time he was in office, dude, he actually got shit in line until fucking weird COVID. I don't even know what you want to call that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you're probably, were you Afghanistan when COVID kicked off?
No, I left
Oh, yeah, that was
just before everything got locked down in Afghanistan. Luckily, I'm fucking so happy I wasn't there during that. Sounded fucking
as
stupid. Go ahead again.
expected.
Say that part again. Actually, you cut out a little bit.
One of the Kazakhstan, she Kandahar or some shit, and going from Kazakhstan or whatever to I think it was Kabul. And she had the connecting flight to somewhere up north where she met up on this other like C-17. It was full of 10 mountain dudes who were just coming into the country at the time, and she had COVID, so she got all those dudes sick. And then that plane landed, and then
That
they got
bitch.
their entire battalion got sick, and then they
That bitch.
stopped deploying. They stopped deploying the battalion. They were like, all right, we'll stop sending soldiers because they're all fucking sick anyway. So like all of Afghanistan was at like 50% strength because they just stopped deploying troops. It was wild, man.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and then they're like, well, what do we do? So they just set up a bunch of like quarantine tents all over everywhere. We're like, what the fuck's going on? Because like we kind of knew like people were sick and we knew like there was like something starting, but we know like everyone was freaking out about it. So all of a sudden, all these tents that say quarantine on start popping up around everywhere. We're like, what the fuck is this shit? We were like, it's got to be zombies. Got to
Yeah,
be
dude. I wish it was
huge
zombies.
Afghani giant zombies.
Dude, I wish it was fucking zombies. Oh my God.
I
I don't know
remember.
if you got COVID. I got it twice. One, it just felt like the
Yeah,
flu, and the other time I just lost my taste.
we got it came through our barracks once or twice, and I got it uh, twice in Afghanistan. And at first, they were like, you had to do like 2 weeks quarantine, and then we were so low on guys that they ended up doing, yeah, gotta go work. Fuck,
I
man.
need get the fuck out there.
Yeah, like it's bad.
Damn.
Every, they just stopped quarantining people. Right, go to work, dude. Just try not to breathe on anybody.
What the fuck?
Alcohol, you bring food in line for the sick people. There's like a sick. Everyone was
Dude, that's some shit you see in the movies.
grenade defect gets blown up every time we get attacked. So that was blown up. So we had like one side of the
Disgusting. It sounds like
yeah.
a gnarly field drill.
It was so like, and then that was around the same time the drawdown was like kicking into effect, and they didn't tell anybody. They just started leaving. So we were sitting there, and all of a sudden, like half of the security forces for the army were gone, and I was like, "Yo, we gotta get out of this country, dude."
Dude,
Our
that
company was like, "Hey, everyone's on towers now. Everyone's on towers, 12 hours a day, towers." We're like, "Holy shit!"
fuck, you know it's real.
Yeah.
When that was happening, I was actually getting a lot of my information from the interpreters that we were working with, the local nationals over there. Some of
Oh yeah.
some of them made it over to the U.S. Others are actually still there. And then I'm aware of two that were actually killed 'cause they were stopped at the
Probably
checkpoints.
probably pretty hard to get out of Mez compared to like Kabul or Kandahar or Bagram. Hard to get flights.
They were actually in Bagram,
Oh yeah.
so they went from Mez back to Bagram. But uh, yeah, one of them I'm trying to meet up with this year. Actually, he's in Colorado now, but it'd be cool to meet up with him because he was with us for like 7 months while I was over there. So
Hell yeah. Should put them on your podcast.
fuck yeah, dude, I was thinking about that. That'd be really cool. Um,
Yeah, if he's down, I'd probably cover his face, but I would definitely that'd be sweet.
yeah, that's yeah, that was where I was going with that. I'm gonna have to black him out or something.
Yeah, just cover his face. I don't think he was gonna pick up on his voice, but just cover his face, call him something
No,
weird.
no one's gonna come. Yeah, no one's gonna pick up on his voice.
All
But
their all their names over there were like Kevin anyway.
Kevin and Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is my linguist, Kevin.
yeah. He doesn't look like a fucking Kevin. That's none of your business.
They stopped doing that. I don't know if they learned a lesson or whatever, but we stopped using native linguists and interpreters. Now we only use Americans who can speak the dialect. Like
Really?
my last deployment, they were all Americans that like spoke like they're maybe originally from Baghdad and they spoke like Kurdish or Arabic or like whatever they spoke. But yeah, there weren't any like Syria that worked for us.
Really? Was it
This
too
was
much?
like
Was it too much of a threat, or was it just a
because
liability?
I think like fingerprints contain
Yeah.
people in it. They're like, yeah, this is getting checks against the watch list for all these people. I was like, how? It's not hooked up to anything. Like, it doesn't have internet. Where's it go? How's it in? They're like, oh yeah, you gotta download it onto a disk and then send that disk. I was like, so it doesn't really matter because no one's gonna know until they get the disk and then get all the info and then check it against some database, and then 2 weeks later they're gonna call me and be like, hey, this guy's a terrorist. I'm like, well, that was 3 weeks ago. He came in and cleaned the bathrooms and then left.
Yeah.
Like, it was so dumb, man. Like, so
God,
they
the
just
fuck.
circumvent that. Like everybody who was actually like privy to our missions and like planning and all that, like everyone who was actually working with us was an American. We did not take people from like Syria or Iraq to trolls or do KOEs or anything like that. Like,
It's
so
smart.
maybe we're learning. I don't know.
I would say that we're learning.
Maybe I don't know. We still fingerprinted everybody for no fucking reason.
No
God knows what
shit.
that was good. Yeah, now we just have a database somewhere of like all these people who clean bathrooms.
Yeah, you got their fucking biometrics for janitors.
Yeah, like, never once did that thing beep and go, yeah, this might be a terrorist.
Why
Which
would you?
seems unlikely. Seems like of all the people who came through that country, somebody would have been a terrorist.
No shit. Oh, fuck, I ran out of my drink. Okay, I just need some caffeine.
Yeah, that's why you stack them. Come on.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I got a stack over here.
Dude, I should have done that. I was drinking a brandy old fashioned. I actually just broke my sobriety 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago was my first drink since February 13th.
That's pretty good.
It was. It was
Yeah,
for
yeah.
no. It was for no reason. It's not like I'm not like an alcoholic or. I think when I drink, I talk a little bit more and no like negative side effects or anything like that. I don't know. I was just focusing on being a little healthier, I guess. But I'll tell
Yeah.
you,
Also, like,
bring.
pretty busy.
Dude, so busy. I was actually make fun of me all you want. I was actually doing CrossFit for a bit too. And I'll tell you what, if you have any kind of alcohol and try to do CrossFit, you're gonna be on your fucking ass real quick. This shit is ruthless.
I was thinking about that, but I think about like all the drunk company runs or brigade runs that I did, or like the gunfights that like I was around when I was still super hungover.
Oh,
It's, every time it's terrible, but I'm just like, I didn't learn. I'll
no,
do
you
it
didn't.
again. I didn't
Nah,
learn.
dude. No.
I remember that shit in December in Afghanistan. They hit us with like a 5,000 pound VBID. I had been up all night drinking, tattooing dudes, and playing the new Call of Duty. The new Call of Duty at the time was like the Modern Warfare, the new one.
Yeah.
And we played till like 4 o'clock in the morning. The VBID hit us at like 6 a.m. So it was
Oh,
like,
you didn't even get to have a hangover.
it was terrible, man.
Oh my God. I would have been chuffing
I
for
was
sure.
pissed. I was like, everyone's like, we gotta go. I was like, or we go back to sleep and pretend we had nothing to do with it.
Didn't that happen in January or February?
December 11th of 19.
Dude, that was a week after we left the country.
Yeah, it
So
was
that
a
that
couple like a month after I got there.
that PAX terminal that got blown up, I was sitting there a week prior.
Yeah, it got hit a couple times. Nothing crazy. I mean, other than the thing itself, nothing really crazy happened. Like there's a lot of weird little things that happen the whole time. Talking to the guys who were there, because it's always like crazy fucking stories. Like we watched an ODA team steal a Ranger Bat 60 mil mortar and like not know how to use it. So like everyone was out of ammo. It's like dude, the dudes are out of ammo. You just leave like we call them like the deer stands, up on the wall.
Yeah.
Like you run out of ammo, don't take place. Like that's how long this fucking gunfight lasted.
What
But the
the fuck?
fucking I watched. So I was sitting there like I was going back to sleep, man. I was on a concrete thing, a helmet on. I had my there's yeah, I'm hung over, just like trying to stay warm. It's December, Kansas. It's not in the mountains. It's in that bowl. It's
Yeah.
not super cold. It was like probably 45. I was like a sweatpants. I was just laying like to sleep, and these fucking SF dudes, I look over, and they're in the middle of the intersection, like with a 60 and no ammo, and I'm just like, what the fuck are those dudes doing? And they clearly do not know how to set up a 60, because like you could free fire that bitch. Like you don't have to like set it up,
Yeah.
like it's a handheld. So they're sitting there, they're arguing, and then like they come over and they like look at everybody who's kind of fucked off, and they're like, hey, does anyone know how to shoot a mortar? We're all like, nope. Nope.
Nah,
Leave
dude.
us the fuck out of this. If you don't know how to shoot that, probably just leave it in this other road, dude. And these are ODA dudes.
Yeah, that's
So
fucking
they
wild.
two of them run away and they come back with a box of 60 rounds in the fucking cheese blocks, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they start ripping these things apart. They're still in the casing. So they start ripping these things apart, like getting the canisters open, getting the 60 out. They got cheese charges on there, but they don't know how many to put on. So they're just like stacking cheese charges and just lobbing these bitches like from the middle of this road over Poison Arrow, which was like a CIA DevGru compound, over
Yeah.
the wall and into the field where the insurgents were. But they couldn't see where they were hitting, so they just kept launching them, and then they'd kind of like watch it, launch it, kind of watch it, and they clearly didn't know what the fuck they were doing because like everyone just kind of like, oh, let me do one, and it's just,
Oh
it
my
was like
god.
it was like a bunch of kids like playing around with something like they clearly should not be playing with. So
Dude.
then they run out of mortars and they just leave the mortar there and then just run over to the wall to like continue the gunfight from the wall. And I was like, I looked at my buddy and I was like, what the fuck did we just watch?
That's the most
Like what
wild shit I've ever heard.
what the did we just see? He's like war crimes. That's what we saw. I was like, okay. So
Literally. It's
the next
fucking.
day, next day, RPGs and a couple of the defect got blown up, but nobody got. All the windows were broken, and at the checkpoint, and kind of like watching everything get cleaned up, and this little dude comes up, little black dude. He's the dev group commander I'd known prior from working out. Didn't see anything. He's like, "Oh, that's weird." Yesterday, and I was like, "That's wild. That is
That's
crazy,
insane.
dude. That
I
is
know exactly who
nuts."
did that.
No, I have never. And he's like, "Okay, well, we think the tube was over here in the middle of the road, and we think it was the Rangers, but they said they're missing a mortar tube, so someone might have taken it." I was like, "That's nuts. That I could not tell you, dude. No
Oh my
clue."
god.
He's like, "Thanks, man." He like brought over some rippets and like gave them out to us. I was like, "Thanks, man." He like left. I like looked at my buddy. I was like, "Shut the fuck up. Don't fucking say anything, man. Do not bring us into this, dude."
That's the last thing you want to be a part of.
Yeah, it was like the
Uh,
dev guy was like a bunch of bored Navy SEALs fighting a bunch of ODA dudes over a mortar.
that's fucking crazy. It was funny as fuck. Oh,
There's like shit like that, man. Like just so many weird things happened that day, and like I remember I was at the base, like kind of back from the wall afterwards, and the snipers were still shooting dudes, and I was like, that dude's got a phone out. That dude's watching something. That dude's watching Vikings. I was like, Nate, come here. He's like, my buddy over. I was like, is that sniper watching Vikings? We like get some binos out of the truck. Like, sure as fuck, this sniper on top of the guard tower is watching Vikings and shooting people.
what the
Like,
fuck?
yeah, he had it going next to it, like on the railing, and he would like, take a shot and like reload his bolt gun and like watch. And I was like, what the fuck are we watching? That man's watching Vikings. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
You're watching him watch Vikings while he's shooting people. What the fuck, dude? Ragnar Earthbrook, right?
Dude, I think yeah, Afghanistan was a different animal. You did not see shit like that in Syria or Iraq. Afghanistan's like a different animal. Like you didn't see shit like that in like Iraq or Syria. Like everyone was so super serious, but Afghanistan was like, what can we do that's funny? And then we do that thing.
And you got to witness it at least?
Yeah, like it was a lot of fun. I miss Afghanistan.
I do too, honestly. I had a lot of fun over there. I got to meet General Miller, Austin Miller, on a
Oh
mission.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I won't really say we were basically private security, me and our platoon sergeant for two generals, and we ended up flying to an undisclosed location, landing on an airstrip in Blackhawk, and then a C-17 flew in, a Chinook flew in, C-17 ramp dropped, like 18 to 22 dudes got out, got into the Chinook. We all picked up and went to another village in the middle of the mountains in the middle of fucking nowhere. All we could see was that there was an outer cordon of security when we were flying in. We land, the Chinook opened, the ram dropped, and it's all fucking Delta dudes. And it was Austin, or General Austin Miller that we were there with. So we were one-on-one security. It was just me and the platoon sergeant that went on this. It wasn't our squad. It wasn't anything like that. And all they were doing were meeting with village elders in a hostile area. Crazy part about this story is that uh, ODA was our outer cordon of security, and then we went up to it was basically a compound, and we walk into this compound, and I see that it's General Miller. I'm like, holy fuck, dude! Like that's General Miller, right? And then I'm sitting there standing in the hallway, and all there is village elders. There's not really any Afghans around whatsoever. And then there's 18 to 22 Delta dudes. And all they're doing is ripping on the shortest dude in their group for being a Cowboys fan. And then you start hearing gunfire in the distance, and nothing really came of that. But there was a sergeant major that walked up to me, and he's like, "Hey, you're Sergeant Glish." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, "Nice to meet you." And he's like, "Oh, you're from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and your wife has a kid on the way." And I was like, "How the fuck do you know that?" And the only thing that can come to my mind is that they did a background check on us and know fucking everything about us before we even went on this mission.
Couldn't tell you. Don't know.
I tried looking up, it was Sergeant Major, and they were obviously all Delta dudes, but the guy didn't exist. Couldn't find him anywhere.
Yeah, they didn't really real name tapes, so you won't see that.
No. But I do have General Miller's coin, so that's kind of cool. Why he gave it to us, don't know, but at least I could say I have it.
Giving coins to the boys, that's why. Makes them look good.
Oh yeah, it does. But he's short as fuck. I think
All
he's
the
like
dudes that are
dude. I think he's like five
all the
five. He's like 5'5", 5'6".
that, that was like the Dev Grew guy, man. He was like 5'4", and I was like, "You're Dev
Dude,
Grew?"
fucking tiny.
Hey man, no judgment of short kings. You know what I'm saying?
Man, yeah, man. You know what? It is what it is. That was
I'm
kind of
just,
cool.
I'm
No.
6'4". I ain't saying shit, dog.
Yeah, dude, you're tall as fuck. You've always been tall as fuck. I'm a short king. I'm only
uh,
like 5'9".
I was the guys on our compound all had like the same name tape. It was like John or some shit or something stupid. But I was like, how many Johns are? He's like, that's not our real name. And I was like, okay, sorry. I guess I'm just stupid. I don't fucking know. I wore my name tape. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Not on your level. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm
My
not.
bad.
Sorry, I'm not cool enough to have a fake name in the fucking Middle East, dude.
It's funny. That shit
All
is
right.
funny.
Well, we gotta wrap it up here at just over an hour. Um, so what we do is we ask you to give like a piece of advice to people who are in the military, coming into the military, or what do I do? So tell us, tell the homies something that you learned or something that's beneficial to somebody who's either already in the military, thinking about transitioning out, or coming in. But it's your choice.
Yeah, I guess it goes for either or. I would say joining the military is an opportunity, and you can mold it to whatever you want it to be, whether that being a career path within the military or taking your military background and taking that into the civilian world. You meet a lot of cool people when you're in the military, aka us having this podcast and being able to reconvene or talk again after 12 years. You make a lot of connections and use those connections to your advantage. That'd be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Speaking of which, one last thing. My first deployment was in Iraq. Do you remember a Egyptian guy in basic that was he's like bigger, like he's kind of built, He had black hair, like a strong facial features, but he was like he spoke English, but you could tell he had like an accent, Middle Eastern accent. I can't remember his name.
The fuck?
I think he was in your platoon.
Second platoon?
I think so.
Was he African or Egyptian?
I think I think he's
He was like, was he in his 30s?
yeah, he was old.
He was old for when we were going through, right?
Yeah, he was like Middle Eastern looking, but he was from Africa. Yeah, he was Egyptian.
Dude, I think I remember who you're talking about.
I don't remember his name.
I can picture his face, but I would have to go back and look. He was
I
very
ran into
quiet,
him.
but very
Yeah,
serious.
yeah, but he at the like towards the end he got like loud. Like he's also kind of aggressive. Like if you like
I know
pressed him,
exact. Dude, he used to be a fucking millionaire before he went into basic.
sounds right. Yeah, I found him at a checkpoint in Dubai before I went to Iraq. I was in a truck like leaving post, and I like looked out the hatch, and he was like standing there. I was like, "Hey, were you Bravo 254 in 2012 before Benning?" He's like, "Yeah, fucking way, dude." It's like,
Damn, dude.
never saw him again. It was like, but it was so wild. I just saw him on like the side of a fucking.
Dude, that's fucking insane. You run into
I always
people in
look.
weird places.
I know. I always look for that shit now. I ran a couple in Afghanistan, but like not dudes. I know he from like back then,
Yeah.
you know. But always fun. Like yeah. So to your point, you never know if you're gonna run into it. But hey, we appreciate you. We'll get you on here again. I'm sure in the future we'll do like another chat. Keep up with your business and kind of see how you're doing. But we appreciate you coming on here and hope to talk to you again soon.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you having me. So.
Yeah, the rest of you join us next time for episode 15 of From the Bunker. Talk to you guys later.
Incoming, incoming, incoming.